Ever ponder why so many senior citizens awaken at 3 in the morning and are unable to get back to sleep? In the silent darkness, you might lie there and gaze at the ceiling, wondering what's wrong with your mind or body. In actuality, this is more widespread than you might imagine and isn't merely a passing fad or an effect of aging. This film examines 5 compelling explanations for why individuals typically wake up at 3 in the morning. As kids get older, and the messages those early morning awakenings might be trying to convey, every explanation exposes more about your physical condition, overall health, and life experiences. And you might have a completely different perspective on your sleep by the end of this film. Nor are these only superficial explanations. Real physiology, psychology, and the aging rhythms, of which most people aren't even aware, are the foundation of them. We'll discuss hormonal shifts, sleep habits, health issues, and even social and emotional factors that can be subtly at play. And we'll do it in a way that is sincere, uplifting, and incredibly considerate of your life to date. Therefore, if you've ever woken up at 3:10 a.m. and wondering why, you've come to the correct spot. Keep reading, because what you discover here may not only improve your quality of sleep, but also help you better comprehend and value the experiences your body is having. Let's get going now. First, less production of melatonin. The age-related decrease in melatonin production is one of the most obvious causes of older persons waking up in the middle of the night, usually at 3 in the morning. Often referred to as the body's internal clock, melatonin is the hormone that helps control our sleep-wake cycle and is essential for falling and remaining asleep. Your body probably created a strong, consistent amount of melatonin every night when you were younger, which allowed you to sleep for extended periods of time without interruption. However, as you age, your body begins to produce less of it, and this change can significantly affect how well you sleep. By the early hours of the morning, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and occasionally 4 a.m., your natural supply of melatonin may drop too low to maintain that calm condition, but you may still find it easy to fall asleep at night, particularly after a long day or a quiet evening. You might discover that your brain is gradually returning to wakefulness without enough melatonin to keep you asleep, rather than waking up due to a loud noise or a dream. This does not indicate that your body is failing, nor does it indicate that you are doing something incorrectly. It merely indicates that as you age, your interior chemistry is changing. Furthermore, the setting of the bedroom may exacerbate this effect. Melatonin can be further suppressed by even tiny amounts of light, such as a street lighting outside the window, a blinking clock on the nightstand, or a corridor light beneath the door. As you become older, your body gets more susceptible to environmental stimuli, which can make 3 a.m. It feels even more annoying to wake up. Consider Harold, who is now 72 years old and has always thought of himself as an excellent sleeper. Recently, however, he has been awake at 3:15 a.m. most evenings. He is completely awake, as though it is time to begin the day, and he is neither agitated nor nervous. He stopped blaming himself and began changing his habits after realizing that this wasn't a failure on his side, but rather a typical aspect of aging linked to melatonin. To support his natural circadian rhythm, he now avoids devices an hour before bed, keeps his bedroom darker, and goes for a quick evening stroll. His body receives a signal from these minor adjustments that it is still nighttime. He has also learned to work with his body rather than against it, even if he still occasionally wakes up early. This type of insight has the potential to transform everything. You can encourage your sleep rather than punish your body when you realize that getting up early may not be your fault, but rather the result of a natural chemical transition. That is awareness's power. It helps you make better decisions about how you take care of yourself at night and transforms annoyance into compassion. The second is the advanced sleep phase and altered sleep cycle. And further important factor is that older folks typically wake up at 3 in the morning is caused by an accelerated sleep phase, which is a natural change in the body's internal clock. Our circadian rhythms seem to advance with age, so we might start to get up sooner in the morning and feel sleepy earlier in the evening. Even on days when you wish you had more sleep, you may catch yourself falling asleep while watching a late-night movie or waking up without an alarm at the crack of dawn. This change has biological roots and isn't merely a question of habit. It can also get more noticeable every year. In younger years, a later bedtime and a wake-up time that seems more in tune with the light are common ways to match the body's rhythm. However, the sleep window automatically moves forward as this rhythm progresses. Around 9 p.m., you might nod off, or even earlier without meaning to, so by 3 a.m., your body has already had its full cycle of rest. Rotates. For this reason, even when it is still completely dark outside, you may find yourself wide awake in the middle of the night, feeling as though you have had all the rest you need. This does not indicate that you are flawed. It simply indicates that your body is now functioning according to a different schedule. Imagine it as a clock that has been gradually reset throughout time, moving forward a bit more with each passing season. Even if this isn't dangerous, it might be annoying if your own tastes, family schedule, or way of life don't fit with this new rhythm. This alteration has a subtle psychological component as well. Many older folks spend more time alone or live in quieter homes, which might intensify the body's cues to wind down earlier in the day. Your system starts its nighttime shutdown process considerably earlier because there isn't the same amount of noise or activity that would have previously delayed slumber. The absence of external time cues, such as meetings, commuting, or social engagements, can exacerbate this internal change if you are no longer employed full-time or have a rigid daily schedule. Let's look at a retired 68-year-old man like Charles. He typically eats dinner at 5:30 p.m. and spends an hour watching TV before going to bed at 9 p.m. By 3 a.m., his body is ready to wake up from his slumber. He feels awake but not stressed or nervous. He initially believed it to be sleeplessness, but after learning about the advanced sleep phase, he understood that his sleep was just rescheduled rather than disrupted. To stay up a bit later, Charles started modifying his nightly routine, which included reading a book in a warm light, going for a leisurely walk after supper, and occasionally phoning his daughter for a brief conversation before bed. His sleep window was somewhat extended by these little social and sensory cues, which caused him to wake up earlier in the morning. The outcome: fewer at 3 a.m. awakenings and a greater sense of congruence with his everyday existence. Many elderly folks experience this normal change in their sleep cycle, but few discuss it. Knowing it can help you cope with your body more compassionately rather than battling it, and it can also help you overcome a lot of guilt or perplexity. Consequently, if you're waking up at 3 in the morning and you feel as though you've slept through the night, your body might just be operating on an earlier schedule right now. Knowing that will allow you to start modifying your routine in ways that promote your well-being. Please leave a number 2 remark below to let me know whether you're still viewing this video and finding these ideas helpful. To ensure you don't miss any videos, I advise you to subscribe and turn on the bell if you haven't already. We can keep producing high-quality content to educate and uplift you thanks to your support. All right, let's proceed. The third is physical discomfort and disruptions related to health. An additional typical cause for elderly folks to awaken at 3 in the morning is the body's reaction to physical pain or underlying medical conditions that often manifest in the middle of the night. The likelihood of developing chronic illnesses or minor health issues rises with age, and many of these ailments have a way of interfering with sleep without raising a blaring alarm. They can appear subtly, such as a sore joint, a full bladder, or an unexpected backache, and that's frequently enough to wake you up in the middle of the night. For instance, conditions like arthritis can make it painful to lie in one position for hours on end. Even though you might not be aware of the pain when you first go to sleep, it can accumulate to the point where it wakes you up after several hours of inactivity. Others may be awakened by acid reflux at night, particularly if they ate dinner too late or slept too soon afterward. Around the early morning hours, when your body's defenses are already more sensitive and less forgiving than they once were, even something as seemingly simple as dry mouth, cramping in your muscles, or a little shift in room temperature can cause a light waking. One of the most frequent physical causes of elderly men waking up at 3 in the morning is the urge to go to the toilet. The urge to urinate can occur more quickly and more frequently as we age because the bladder loses its elasticity. When distractions keep your mind busy during the day, you might not notice it, but at 3 in the morning you will. It is tough to ignore such feeling in a calm, dark place. Additionally, it may be more difficult to fall back asleep after getting up and moving around. even if it's just to use the restroom, because your body may have already transitioned from deep sleep to mild alertness. Additionally, many older persons take drugs on a regular basis for heart health, blood pressure, or pain management. These drugs frequently have adverse effects that can subtly interfere with sleep, such as increased sensitivity to light or noise, changes in body temperature, or frequent urination. Until someone brings it out to you or you start keeping more detailed records of your routine, you might not even be aware that your medication and sleep patterns are related. Consider the case of Eleanor, a 76-year-old woman who has historically slept light. She began to frequently wake up about 3:30 a.m. during the course of the previous year. She talked to her doctor after months of assuming it was simply age and learned that one of her prescriptions was making it harder for her to stay hydrated and increasing the number of times she had to use the restroom at night. She changed the schedule of her medication and made some lifestyle adjustments with her doctor's assistance, and now she wakes up less and falls back asleep more quickly. It's crucial to keep in mind that physical awakenings do not indicate a malfunctioning body. In reality, they are indicators that your body is still reacting, warning, and changing. These cues can help you make better decisions, receive better care, and have more faith in your own knowledge. Waking at 3 in the morning may seem like a hassle, but it may also serve as a gentle reminder to pay attention, check in, and make minor adjustments that promote improved health and more restful sleep. Fourth, lifestyle practices that alter the rhythm of your sleep. Another compelling, yet sometimes disregarded, explanation for why older folks are awake around 3 in the morning resides in ingrained everyday routines, small decisions and actions that subtly alter your internal rhythm over time. Naturally, a lot of older folks start eating dinner earlier, go to bed earlier, and engage in less physical exercise during the day. These seemingly insignificant changes add up and might tell the body that night should start sooner, which in turn causes the wake-up time to be pushed earlier. Your body no longer receives the same external cues it once relied on, such as commuting, conducting errands, or participating in mentally or physically stimulating activities. When your days become calmer, especially after retirement, the body's sleep-wake cycle can start to advance if certain signals are absent. Your brain may start producing melatonin sooner on a peaceful, low-light evening with little stimulus, luring you to sleep before you even notice that it is 9 p.m. Additionally, your body simply completes its rest earlier when you go to bed earlier, allowing you to wake up in those quiet, pre-dawn hours, which are frequently around 3 in the morning. Additionally, there is a weak correlation between the timing of meals and the quality of sleep. Even though eating dinner early is generally healthy, it can occasionally cause blood sugar levels to drop overnight, particularly if there isn't a short snack before bed. Even if the dip doesn't feel like hunger, it can still wake up the body. In a similar vein, coffee, even in the early afternoon, can remain in your body for a long time, especially when your metabolism slows down with age. This reduces the quality of your sleep and increases your vulnerability to waking up at any time. Walter, who is 74 years old and recently retired, experienced these changes gradually. His evenings grew more laid back and his days less regimented. He ended up eating dinner at 5 o'clock, dozing off in his recliner while watching the evening news, and going to bed before 9 o'clock. Most evenings. A few hours earlier, his entire routine had changed without his knowledge. He soon started waking up at 3 in the morning, wondering why he was awake before the birds had even begun to sing. Walter started making minor changes to his routine after giving it some thought. He added a quick afternoon stroll, read in a brighter light in the evening, and stopped taking naps after supper. His body was able to establish a rhythm that was more in line with his preferred wake-up time as a result of these adjustments, which helped push his natural sleep window a little later. It's amazing how frequently we undervalue the importance of routine. Our bodies are drawn to rhythm, daily routines that serve as signals to the brain, informing it when it's time to wake up and when to go to sleep. The internal body clock may get disoriented as a result of those signals weakening or changing, which could result in earlier and more erratic sleep. It is possible to gently steer the body back to a sleep cycle that feels less disturbed and more restorative by observing these patterns and making deliberate adjustments. Please leave a number 4 remark below to let me know if you're still watching this video and finding these ideas helpful. To ensure you don't miss any videos, I advise you to subscribe and turn on the bell if you haven't already. We can keep producing high-quality content to educate and uplift you thanks to your support. All right, let's proceed. Fifth, restlessness on an emotional and psychological level, occasionally waking up at 3 in the morning, is more mental in nature and less physical in nature. As we age, emotional depths that were previously hidden by the daily grind may begin to show in the stillness of the night. These early morning hours, when there are few distractions and the world is quiet, are frequently the time when hidden anxieties, regrets, or desires start to surface. Your mind may be silently going through memories, unresolved ideas, or subtle fears you were unaware were still present, which is why you can find yourself lying awake rather than because of pain or noise. This type of restlessness is not the same as the full-blown anxiousness that young people may experience. It is more contemplative and quieter. If you can't quite identify it, it can seem like a faint background hum, a feeling that something is off balance. When the mind is not actively working, it frequently reaches backward into past relationships, choices, losses, or unsaid words. Additionally, there's more room for those thoughts to reverberate because the body isn't racing from one obligation to another. It's also critical to acknowledge that loneliness may be a contributing factor in this situation. As routines change, friends get busy, and children move away, many older folks find that their social circles get smaller over time. While there is light and activity during the day, there is calm at night, and with it comes a realization of that emotional distance. Loneliness like this doesn't necessarily seem burdensome. Sometimes when the house is quiet, it manifests as a simple need for connection or a slight yearning for someone to chat to. Think about Gloria, an 80-year-old widow. She keeps herself occupied during the day by watching her favorite shows, calling her grandchildren, and caring for her garden. However, she frequently wakes up around 3 in the morning, her mind returning to memories of her late spouse or to worries she suppresses throughout the day. She initially believed her sleep was problematic. She eventually realized, however, that her early awakenings were not related to sleep at all, but rather to her heart's desire to be heard. Gloria began keeping a little journal near her bed to help her maintain herself. She occasionally jots down whatever's on her mind when she wakes up. Nothing fancy, just a few straightforward ideas. She also included a peaceful nighttime routine, such as penning a brief note to a friend or enjoying some relaxing music. Her emotions were gently released by these small acts of introspection and connection, which calmed her mind and made it easier for her to fall back asleep. In actuality, there is no set timetable for the human heart. It asks the necessary questions, recalls the information it wants to recall, and occasionally completes all of this at 3 in the morning, when there is silence everywhere else. However, that is an indication of depth rather than a defect. It could indicate that you have insight waiting to be recognized if you wake up feeling introspective. You've experienced both happiness and heartache, and those events have shaped not only your memories but also your identity. Try addressing these wake-ups with love and curiosity instead of viewing them as something that has to be fixed. What message is your mind attempting to convey? What must you give voice to? Even in the dark, what aspect of yourself requires a little grace? Sometimes appreciating these moments rather than dismissing them leads to the most important type of rest. By doing this, you might have greater sleep as well as a deeper comprehension of who you are at this point in your life. Concluding remarks. As this video comes to an end, pause and think about what you just heard. What struck a chord with you? Did the change in your internal clock cause it? Your health's modest changes? Or maybe something more profound, an emotional cadence that only manifests when everything else is quiet? None of these 5 explanations indicate that something is flawed or incorrect. Rather, they each provide a unique perspective on your early morning awakenings. As you progress through this period of life, they actually each show how deeply your body and mind are still functioning, responding, and adapting. Knowing what your body is attempting to tell you, particularly in the peaceful hours before morning, has a subtle power. Instead of observing 3 a.m., instead of viewing wake-ups as an annoyance, you may start to perceive them as subtle cues to pay a little more attention to your needs, habits, and emotions. This situation is not unique to you. And you are by no means the only one looking for solutions. However, strength comes with knowledge, and strength gives you the ability to make minor but significant adjustments that promote deeper relaxation, greater sleep, and a closer bond with your own cycles. You're not simply growing older, you're changing if you've identified with any of these reasons today. And with that evolution comes an opportunity to take better care of yourself, to sleep more deliberately, and to face each dawn with a little more calm and understanding. We appreciate you being here with us today. Please share one item you learned today and how you intend to apply it in your life in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. We value your opinions, so please feel free to express them. We are greatly inspired and encouraged by reading your remarks. Please like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it entertaining and useful. We can keep producing high-quality content to educate and uplift you thanks to your support. We appreciate your time and hope to see you in the upcoming video.